My daughter cut me off after the divorce, never hearing my side. 8 years later, she wants her inheritance. I laughed and told her to unblock me and read the message I sent years ago. Hello Reddit I+ here. My name is David Langston. I'm 56 years old now. And if you'd told me 8 years ago that I'd be writing this, not for sympathy, not for closure, but just to get it off my chest, I would have laughed in your face. I used to believe that time healed everything. It doesn't. Sometimes all it does is show you who really cared. 8 years ago, I went through a brutal divorce with my wife Marlene. We were married for over 20 years. She was 46 at the time, and I was 48. We had a daughter together, Emma, who had just turned 20 when the divorce happened. And when the split came, Emma didn't hesitate. She picked a side. Not mine. She blocked my number, refused to speak to me, and the last words she ever said to me before cutting me out were, "Mom said everything I need to know about you." I tried calling, messaging, even emailed. Once, I stood outside her college dorm for hours just to see if I could catch her walking out, just to see her face. She called security. The message was clear. Stay away. I was shattered. It wasn't just the divorce. It was the complete and sudden erasure of the one person I thought would at least ask why. But she never did. No questions. No room for my truth. Just silence. The truth was, Marlene wove a perfect narrative. One where I was the absent, selfish husband, too wrapped up in my construction work to care for my family. And yeah, I worked long hours. I was the only one bringing in money. Marlene stayed home, raising Emma. I never minded. Hell, I was proud to be able to give them both that life. But when things got tense, when the fight started, it was easy for her to turn Emma against me. She had the stage. I was the villain. No trial, no jury. Just judgment. For 8 years, I lived with that. I focused on work. I cared for my mother, who was slipping away into Alzheimer's. She passed a year ago. She was the only family I had left. After the funeral, I stood alone in that cemetery, and it hit me. I had no one, not a single hand on my shoulder. No family, no daughter. So when my phone rang 2 months ago and I heard a hesitant female voice say, "Hi, Dad," I almost dropped the phone. It was Emma. I hadn't heard her voice in almost a decade. I didn't even recognize it at first. So much older now, softer, more careful. She said she saw a post online about her grandmother passing and wanted to check on me. I was stunned. I didn't even know she still followed anything about my life. I thanked her for calling, and I told her the truth, that I missed her more than words could say. She said she'd like to meet, to talk. We agreed on dinner at my house the following Saturday. I cleaned the place up like it was going to be appraised by royalty, cooked her favorite dish, shrimp Alfredo. I even bought flowers, not for her, but for my dining table, like it needed to look like I still had people in my life. She showed up on time, and when I opened the door and saw her for the first time in 8 years, it was like time collapsed. She looked like her mother, but there were flickers of the little girl I used to carry on my shoulders. I choked back tears and hugged her. Dinner went well. We talked like awkward friends, not like a father and daughter reunited, but I was grateful for the moment. I really was. And then, I asked her the question that had lived in my throat for nearly a decade. Why? Why didn't you ever ask me for my side? She looked down, then said quietly, "I was scared. Mom said things, and I believed them. I didn't know better. I guess I didn't want to know better." She apologized. She said she regretted everything, that she felt ashamed. I wanted to believe her. God, I really did, but I knew something was off. Eventually, the conversation turned. I asked her what made her reach out now. That's when she said it. She had gotten engaged a few months ago. Money was tight. She had been hoping the lawyers would contact her about Grandma's inheritance. When they didn't, she decided to reach out. I tried not to show anything. I just nodded. She said she felt awful asking, but since Grandma had told her years ago that she'd inherit everything, as the only grandchild, she wanted to see if that was still true. "Anything you can give would help," she added with a nervous smile. "The wedding's going to be big. I really need help." And there it was. The knife in the back, twisted slowly. I had dreamed of this moment, of seeing her again, hugging her again, being a father again. But the moment I realized I was just a wallet in her eyes, something inside me broke. I told her the inheritance had gone to me long ago, that Grandma changed the will, that I planned on using the money to start a small woodworking business. I added that, out of my own pocket, I'd be willing to give her a few thousand for the wedding. Her face fell like a stone in a pond. "That's it?" she said. "That's all I can offer," I replied. Her tone turned sharp. "Grandma told me I'd inherit everything. I was her only grandchild, and you were also the one who never visited her again after the divorce," I said calmly. She began to get angry. "You're proving everything Mom ever said about you," I laughed bitterly. "And you're proving everything I feared was true about why you came back." She stood up, flustered. "This is unbelievable. I came here to reconnect and help plan my future, and you're being selfish." "No," I said. "You came here to see if there was a payday waiting for you." She stared at me, speechless. And that's when I told her something that wiped the fake guilt from her face. "If you hadn't blocked me all those years ago, you would have received my texts. You would have known about your grandmother's illness. You could have seen her one last time, and maybe, just maybe, she would have kept her promise to you." She stood still, shaken. "What texts?" she asked. "Unblock my number," I said. She did, and I forwarded every single one of them. The ones where I begged her to talk to me. The ones where I updated her about her grandma's condition. The one where I invited her to say goodbye before the funeral. Silence. Then she said, "I didn't know. You didn't want to know." We sat there in silence, and then I stood up. "I don't hate you, Emma. I probably never could, but I don't trust you. And love without trust isn't love at all." She opened her mouth to speak, but I raised my hand. "I spent 8 years missing you, mourning you, even though you were still alive. But I'm done mourning. I'm done waiting, and I'm done being a father to someone who only remembers me when there's money involved." She left without another word, and I stood in my quiet house once again, alone, but finally, at peace. 3 days after Emma stormed out, I got another call, from a number I hadn't seen in years. Marlene. For a second, I thought it was a prank. I just stared at the screen as her name flashed across it like a ghost. I let it go to voicemail. She called again the next morning, and then again that night. On the 4th call, I answered. Not out of curiosity, but because I was done running. I was tired of letting them write the story while I stayed silent. "David." Her voice was cautious, almost soft. "Can we talk?" I said nothing. "I know I'm the last person you want to hear from." "You're right." There was silence on the other end. She took a breath. "Emma came home upset. She told me everything." I almost hung up. I didn't want to relive it again. I didn't want to hear Marlene's voice twisting the truth one more time. But something in me said, "Hear her out. Finish it." "She told me you offered her money and she refused it." I snorted. "That's not quite how it went." She paused again. "You're right. I know Emma. I know when she's lying. But that's not why I'm calling." "Then why are you calling, Marlene?" "I want to apologize." That stopped me. For a second I couldn't say anything. 8 years too late, I finally said. "I know." Her voice cracked. "I destroyed you, and I told myself it was justified, that you were cold and distant and didn't care about us. That if I painted you as the villain, it made it easier for Emma to stay with me." "So you admit it?" "I do. I was angry. I was bitter. I didn't want her to leave me. And I knew if she had a choice, if she heard your side, she might have. She would have," I said. "I never would have turned her against you." "I know," she whispered. I leaned back in my chair, staring out the kitchen window at the quiet backyard. The wind moved gently through the trees, the same way it had the night Emma came over. "You know what the worst part was?" I said after a moment. "It wasn't the lies. It wasn't even losing the house or half my savings. It was watching my own daughter erase me like I never mattered, like I didn't raise her. Like every bedtime story, every scraped knee, every Christmas morning meant nothing." "I'm sorry, David," Marlene said quietly. "I really am. I should have felt vindicated. Instead, I just felt tired." "I begged her to see me," I said, "for years. You told her I was harassing her. You threatened me with lawyers." "I know," she said. "That's the part I regret most. I weaponized her. I didn't think about what it would cost her long term. Or you." I closed my eyes and took a breath. "Why are you really calling?" I asked. "This can't just be guilt." She hesitated. Emma still believes she deserves something. She thinks your mother promised it to her. She did, I replied. Before the divorce. Before Emma cut me off. Before she ignored 8 years of messages and showed up with her hand out. I know she hurt you, Marlene said. But she's still your daughter. No, I said calmly. She's your daughter. You raised her to believe I was a monster. And now, you want me to fund her wedding because she's marrying a guy who probably hasn't worked a full-time job in his life. Marlene was quiet. I offered her money, I added. More than she deserved, after everything. But it wasn't about fairness. It was about seeing if she had any part of that little girl left. She didn't. I don't want this to end like this, she said. You'll regret it when you're older. I laughed bitterly. You think I haven't been regretting things for the last 8 years? Emma asked me to try and talk to you. To tell you she's sorry. To say she was young and She stopped herself. Then continued. I twisted everything. She already said that, I replied. But sorry doesn't rebuild 8 years. Sorry doesn't wipe away silence. Sorry doesn't turn manipulation into love. She's still your blood. I stood up and walked to my mother's old china cabinet, the one Emma used to hide behind during hide and seek. I stared at it for a long moment. You know what hurts the most, Marlene? I would have given her everything, not just money, my time, my love, my forgiveness. I was waiting for her to come back, but now that she has, I see it clearly. She came for the money. Not me. She misses you, David. No, I said. She misses what I can give her. There was a long silence. She's devastated, Marlene said. So was I replied. Another pause. Then she said something I didn't expect. I don't want money for her. I just want to know, do you hate her? No, I said honestly. But I also don't know her anymore. And the version I met last week? That woman doesn't love me. She loves what I represent. A lost opportunity. A financial solution. A name to write on a check. I sighed. I'm done being needed only when it's convenient. And with that, I ended the call. A letter came in the mail. No return address. Just my name. Handwritten. Inside was a photo of Emma when she was 5 years old. Sitting on my shoulders, grinning, her pigtails flying in the wind. Attached was a short note. I don't know how to fix what I broke. Maybe I never can. But you were the best dad I could have asked for, and I'm sorry I didn't realize it sooner. No request for money. No mention of the wedding. Just that. I put the photo on the mantle. But I didn't call her. Not out of anger. Not out of spite. Because I finally understood something. Forgiveness doesn't mean reunion. And sometimes, walking away is the only way to heal.